All right, you guys. Hey, it's Patreon Tuesdays. It is your girl Amber, aka Watch Amber, the Confidence Queen. Herpes saved my life, and I'm so glad you guys are joining us. I'm a certified life coach. I help women heal on purpose. I've been called to help women feel unashamed, empowered, and worthy, and I'm using my real life experiences to do so. Thank you guys so much for being here. We appreciate it. It's time to do some healing work. I'll hand it over to Shayna.
My name is Shayna Singleton, aka the Herpes Goddess, and yes, having me is a big flex. I am the founder of the Herpes Can Never movement, growing the largest herpes awareness community of over 230K. The mission is to make everyone feel uncomfortable until the herpes community feels comfortable being open about their status and proud of their sexuality. This is Patreon Tuesday, but something a little special. We're going to give this one to you too. We're going to talk about not disclosing today. Amber, what are your thoughts?
Like off the top of my head, immediate thoughts are, it's a problem, but I can understand how it happens. The stigma fuels not disclosing, but that's the reason why we're mad at the person that gave it to us because they didn't disclose. Like all these overwhelming thoughts come in my mind, but ultimately, I can understand how it happens. And I think that that's why the work we're doing is so important, because I can't in any way like approve it or condone it, because it's just not the right thing to do to someone, in my belief. And I can, that's just what I believe about it. So how do you feel about it?
I think that STD contraction laws against people who don't disclose should be abolished. I don't think there should be any STD contraction laws. I think what STD contraction laws do is it puts this like prejudice, or I don't know if I got the right word for it, against people living with lifelong STDs. And it's not fair. That conversation is everyone's responsibility. It's not just the person living with the lifelong STDs responsibility. And it seems like a law that was made by someone who is not living with a lifelong STD, who is ignorant and wanted to condemn people living with lifelong STDs. If you're having sex, you should be requiring your partner to see your partner's results, STI, STD results, point blank, period. That responsibility has to fall on both the person with STDs and the person without STDs. And it's just not fair that people living with lifelong STDs have to hold that much responsibility on top of the stigma, on top of the shame, on top of living with a lifelong STD.
Boom.
Yeah.
Mic drop. That's it. I agree with everything you said on that. So guys, we be agreeing a lot of the times. We be disagreeing sometimes. But on this one, I can say I wholeheartedly agree. That's facts on facts on facts. It fuels the stigma, like so many other things that are just happening around herpes that are just knowingly happening, that's literally fueling the stigma. And it's like everybody's aware. When you look at herpes articles, it's all like, the stigma is so bad. I'm like, how are we just all okay with just keep saying this? But they also always say you can have a normal life. It's not fatal, terminal. Like the worst part is the stigma. I feel like that is so common, but yet like, how is it just okay still existing out here? Like questions that need answers.
Okay. Sorry. My bad.
That's okay.
I'm off mute. I know
that you're all good.
It's about to shake the world up.
Yeah. This little sound bit right here, this needs to go everywhere.
Yeah, that's gonna shake. It's gonna be a lot of hurt. It's gonna be a lot of hurt feelings, a lot of mad people, and a lot of people showing how they feel the stigma. If you think what I have to say is wrong, and you think there has to be laws against people with lifelong STDs to have the necessary conversation we all should be having, then I kind of lost my train of thought a little bit. Just slightly, a little bit.
If somebody has a problem with that, what you just said. If somebody has a problem with the responsibility being placed on both parties equally and not being one over the other, not a person being essentially like punished or have to assume an additional responsibility because they have an STI to like have to have that conversation when the person was just going to have sex with them anyway. And there's like no consequence for the person who was like, I was willingly going to do it. And so, yeah, that's, if somebody has a problem with that, they're feeling the stigma. That's what you said.
And it's the fact that people living with HIV can get the death penalty. They can get life. That to me is ridiculous.
That has to be like mortifying to like live that life.
Of having HIV and having chlamydia. And then the laws have the nerve to be different too when you dissect them, because chlamydia's charges is not as much as HIV's. What the fuck type of...
Who made these laws?
Who made these laws? These laws are not right. These laws are unfair. We put laws on a group of people who just wanted to be human and have sex, and it could have been chlamydia, but it wasn't. Fucked up.
And we talking about it.
It's everyone's responsibility. Your ass was gonna have sex. Your ass had sex with them. Period.
Yeah.
So not only did you didn't bring up this conversation just as much as they didn't bring up the conversation.
Yeah. I never brought it up before my herpes. Ever. I didn't bring it up until my herpes.
I would talk about it like, did you get tested? Yeah, I got tested.
Yeah.
I'll do that.
Light work.
Let me see your test results. Let me see my test results and what's on.
Not, have you ever had an STI? Have you ever dated someone with an STI? Not, like, how many partners are you having sex with currently? Like, no type of background knowledge, like just like consent off the rip.
Yes.
And not even verbal consent. And so I'm having this conversation with my boyfriend now. I'm trying to help him understand. I'm like, just because we're dating, you're not entitled to be able to touch me or do anything to me without my consent, without my permission, because it's my body. So yeah, in relationships, you might grab my ass if I'm your boyfriend or if you're my boyfriend. But if you've never done that before you put your hand on that part of my body, I need to consent to that. And so he's just talking about how he's always just been, no woman has ever verbalized how if we allow someone to touch us, we're consenting to that, whether we say it out loud or not. So if I'm having sex with these guys and I've never had this conversation with them before, and when they try me like that, or I might try them, when the shit go down, I'm consenting. And so I've made the decision to give myself to someone without having any of that conversation. That is just as much my responsibility. And I feel like so many women are programmed to just not stopping when an advance is being brought to them, that I was out here consenting when I really didn't want to. What is that?
I think we all do that as women. We're programmed to do that. We're raised to do that. It's such the norm in our life, in society, that sometimes we don't even know that we're supposed to be they're supposed to ask for consent. I mean, by the minute I walk out the door and I know I'm about to go to the store, I got to prepare myself because I know I'm going to be harassed by at least one man. At least. That's a good day. If it's one, that's a damn good day. But that's society right now. That is the norm. And that's part of the reason why the older generation calls Generation Z and underneath sensitive. They're not sensitive. They're speaking up on the shit that just isn't right.
It's not okay. And y'all been living through this trauma. We ain't doing this shit no more.
So sensitive. Comedy is comedy. Comedians got to butter stuff up. So what if they do? Gen Z speaking up on it. It's down to herpes. Herpes jokes is cringeworthy. They're cringeworthy as hell. And yet you got to hear it all throughout mainstream media. You don't have no relatable people living with STD, lifelong STD content out there. None of it. We see gay people, we see transgendered people, we see black, white people, we see all kinds of stuff on mainstream media, but we don't see people living with lifelong STDs. We out here. Well, we're the majority of the population, yet this topic is so taboo. It's not talked about. And then they put laws and sanctions on us. Like we're not supposed to live lives and have sex and be normal.
This needs to go viral.
Now,
yeah, hold on. We got Pamela. Look, we need Pamela to come in and tap in on her thoughts.
I had to turn my camera off because the baby keep jumping in the camera. But facts, no, but for real, and that's true. Like that's why you only hear ugly things mainstream. When you're in a group of people, you only hear ugly things. You don't hear people talk about, oh, I'm living with this and I live a perfectly normal life. And it's very common. And I told my friend, bro, it's 80% of the world that has herpes. What? Yeah, baby, it's very simple. I told one of my friends, I'm your 1 in 5, my love. You're 1 in 5.
You're welcome. Yeah, these conversations are so necessary. You just brought up so many great points. I think between both of us, the thing we get asked about most is how to disclose. How to disclose. Because
so much weight has been put on the people living with the viruses to have this conversation when no one's having it.
When you was gonna have sex with me if I didn't say anything.
I didn't say nothing, you would have still had sex with me. Why is people who know their status stigmatized? And people who have no idea what they got, and they just go into sexual relationships based off of trust. Yes, I was one of those people, and I'm not going to continue to be one of those people. But that's the reality. That's what people are out here doing. And it's those same people spreading STDs. It's not people who know what they got spreading STDs. Usually people who know what they got, know what they need to do, how they need to take care of themselves, how they need to show up. It's the people who don't know their status. It's the people who don't require people to see their STD results. It's the people who don't even know what to look at their sexual health history and tell what their doctor's been testing for. It's those people that need to be stigmatized. That's where the stigma need to go. We remove STD contraction laws. You have now put the responsibility on everybody, instead of just people living with lifelong viruses.
Really, Roberta?
They ain't ready for that. That level of growth requires.
And that's facts, because you can get on the radio right now and hear somebody a rapper talk about how many females they can get, how many females they can have sex with without a condom. That's the best thing. That's the best thing. Oh, baby, I'm a G because I can go in there raw, no problem. Get out of here. Like, but then y'all want to have big jokes about herpes. Then y'all want to say, oh, you would date somebody with HIV? Like, man.
That was keeping it real. But for real though, I love that. The responsibility is on everyone. If you are having sex, you are responsible for having this conversation. And it would then break the stigma around disclosing, because it would be a part of a healthy, a normal conversation, like an expectation. And it's like, people are underwhelmed when I tell them how I disclose. My answer is I tell them the truth. And they're like, no, what's like the magic pill? What's the secret sauce to get them to have a positive reaction? And I'm just like, there is no secret sauce other than your story. Like that, like the disclosure, it's just, if you're not ready to disclose, you're not ready to have sex. That for hashtag the herpes goddess. Like, I mean, or like Like, I mean, like if you're not ready to disclose, and so many people are not ready to hear that because they're not ready to disclose, they're trying to force themselves to be ready to disclose so that they can move past, like skip past all the, get the acceptance in so they can still like get on their back, which was the reason why they got it in the first place, because it was just all done. And I don't want to say poorly, I'll just say, it just, I feel like we're all doing what we think we should be doing instead of what we really want to do. Because I was having sex when I didn't even want to have sex, because that's what I felt like I should be doing. And when you're talking about having sex, that's the biggest risk you take in your life.
Thanks.
And just to so casually do that and be willing to just give my body to so many men without protection, so like just as the norm of how I carried myself for years, nobody's having these conversations.
And it's majority of us doing that. I was one of them, right? And then get mad when we find out we have herpes. Huh?
Facts.
Huh? Woo! The
nerve, the unmitigated gall, the audacity of us.
That's how we got here in the first place.
We glorify raw sex, y'all. We glorify unprotected sex. We glorify, oh, let's go take the plan B. We glorify, you on birth control? Because if you're on birth control, it's okay to have raw sex. It's like we completely forget that there's STDs out here. And then you back into these laws, because I'm going to keep preaching about these laws. You put in laws and sanctions against people living with a lifelong virus that you stigmatize. Just like ass backward, you're literally making people depressed. It's literally a system that says you're not supposed to be a person once you find out you have an STD. That's what it feels like to me. Damn, I just found out I got an STD. Damn, I just found out I have to disclose I'm gonna go to jail. Damn, it's just so much shit. No, everyone needs to have the conversation. If you get an STD, it's your fault. The only time there should be an STD contraction law is if it needs to be added charges to somebody molesting you. You just could not help it. Somebody raping you, there's additional charges for that as well. But then that's it. Outside of that, it's on you. It is on you if you get an STD. It is not on your partner. I think routine testing should be a requirement in all relationships, marriages included. I have friends who are married that still get their routine testing and they do it together. It's healthy. It's normal. It has to be the new normal. It has to be the new narrative around sex, period. There's no reason why we still have chlamydia and we still have, these curable STDs. Why do we still have them? Because no one's practicing safe sex.
I definitely had chlamydia for my ex-boyfriend in my heyday. I mean, literally, when I was in a monogamous relationship, he had it before. He knew he had it, had it before. I don't even think I treated for it, but then was not surprised when I told him I had it too. Like, it's just, we're not having these safe sex, healthy sex conversations. Yeah. And I wasn't ready to do this level of having, I guess I was ready, but I don't know why I wasn't having these conversations. And what about me finding out I had herpes outside of, okay, now I have to do it? Is that the only reason why I started to? Because I had to? Like, where was I ever going to get the confidence to require that? Because that's what it was connected to for me. It was like, I can't ask this much of someone. And I'm just like, but I'm about to give them my body though. But I can't ask them.
I can't give you this life-threatening, period. Like they can give you whatever. Even outside of STDs, there's so much other shit that comes with sex, y'all.
So much other shit.
Like a date. That should be a normal date. A normal first date. One of them. Let's go get tested together. Cool. Do you have these test results? Yeah, I can pull mine up on my phone right now. That's what I look when you want to talk to me. Do you know how to access your STD results? When was the last time you've been tested? Why have it been so long ago?
Because they don't want to know the truth.
Look, I wish I could have not known I had herpes when I found out I had herpes. I wish I was one of the people there that just didn't know.
Yeah.
Don't we always that? No, that's just whack. It shouldn't even be that feeling. It shouldn't even be no stigma. It shouldn't be none of that. It's on this community. And I'm definitely pushing for law changing. So I know I'm a little cray, Amber.
We got big dreams. Let's go to the top. We going to the top. Let's just and it's because the stigma should not exist. The amount of pressure people feel to have what should be a routine conversation, that it's paralyzing to them, that it keeps them in depression, that it keeps them in toxic relationships, that it keeps them from dating altogether, that it keeps them from not even thinking that they deserve a commitment, and keeps them just in casual situations. The damaging effects of what the stigma can do to you is why this work has to be done, and why we're not going to stop until it's broken. And so I love everything about it. I'm with it. I'm all in. Pamela, what you got to add to the conversation, Queen?
I was gonna say, I forgot. I'm sorry.
Okay, no, I saw that you wanted to say
I'll come
something.
back to it
a little while ago. Yeah, no worries. Okay. So yeah, that's where I'm at on that. I feel like people are underwhelmed when I just say disclosure is about sharing your truth, because I had to get to the level of where I accepted my truth, and that took time. And so I feel like that's what keeps people from not talking about it now. They don't want to accept their truth. They don't know their truth, which means they don't want to accept it because they're avoiding finding out. And that's what getting tested is, avoiding your truth. And it's just like, who are you running from? Yourself, your own decisions? Like, you can't grow if you're not willing to hold yourself accountable. And so herpes forced me to hold myself accountable. Nothing else in my life had required that much of me, but herpes. So it's just like, what is it going to be? I hope it doesn't have to take herpes for you to start holding yourself accountable. Like, why can't you do it now? Why does it have to be a thing? Like, make the decision, but it takes discipline. It takes going against the grain. It takes literally, obviously, like Shane and I, not giving a fuck what anybody thinks about you. Like, it takes all these things that people say they're about, but when it comes to actually be about it, it's a whole different walk. And so that's why there's so few of us on this side. And my hope is to show people that we're just doing it too, right along with you. And we just made the decision, and that's it. But you got to make the decision, and only you going to show up for you. So it's just like, hey, you can say all day long that you've been going to the gym, but when it's time to go in there and do the push-ups and sit-ups, you're going to be able to really see if you've been going to the gym. It's going to show. You're either going to be conditioned or not. And so doing this work takes condition. It's like going to the gym for your spirit. You've got to exercise it. You've got to stretch it. You got to release some things. You got to treat it and care for it like you care for your external. That's how you have to care for your internal in order to be at this place of self-confidence and self-love, where I can literally say, herpes saved my life, where I can literally say, this is who I am, and this is what I require of the people around me, and this is what I deserve, and actually believe it on the inside of me. It took some conditioning over the course of time. So if you're ready to do that work, that's what we're all about in this community. Yeah, herpes is our community, our cousins, but we're speaking to everybody who's ready to get this level of truth. We're talking self-love. We're talking next level. Like, are you willing to put all the bullshit aside? Any of the bullshit that you've been putting in the way of why you haven't been doing what you're supposed to be doing? Are you ready to put even that biggest roadblock that you just think you have to have in your life that's keeping you bound? Are you willing to even put that aside and deal with like what's going on in here so you can be better out here?
Oh, word. Thank
Girl.
you. Thank you, Queen. I'm gonna go ahead and end it off on this note. I'm gonna end this recording off for our YouTube. This is me and Amber's first official YouTube video that we're just not playing a replay on. So you got to listen to it. We will abolish those STD contraction laws. Let me start manifesting that shit right now. It feels the stigma and I'm just not with it anymore. It's not fair. It's not only the person with the lifelong STD's responsibility to have the sex talk. It is everybody's responsibility to have the sex talk. If you haven't been raped or molested and you didn't get it as a child, your STD is your fault and nobody else's.
Woo! Mic drop. Herpes can never.
Herpes can never.